What is up, guys? Welcome on back to TK's Garage. And the president just spoke and answered questions, so I'm gonna try to get this video up as fast as possible. Digging in and talking about tariffs, and then we're gonna get into some other analysis and information because the market has been absolutely insane today. So without further ado, let's roll that intro.
For the longest time, whoa, for the longest.
Yo, Percocet, Miley Percocet, Percocet, Miley Percocet, represent, gotta represent.
So welcome on back to TK's Garage. We're going to get directly into it. The president just got done speaking at the White House. Benjamin Netanyahu is there, and they're talking about a multitude of issues. But obviously the biggest thing on everybody's mind right now is tariffs and what's going on with the world economy as markets are crashing in Japan, China, and elsewhere. And without further ado, let's hear from the president.
Pause in tariffs to allow for negotiations?
Well, we're not looking at that. We have many countries that are coming to negotiate deals with us, and they're going to be fair deals. And in certain cases, they're going to be paying substantial tariffs. There'll be fair deals. As you know, I spoke this morning with the Prime Minister of Japan, and we had a very good conversation. They're coming. And I said, one thing, you're going to have to open up your country because we sold no cars, like 0 cars in Japan, and they sold millions of cars into our country. They don't really take our agriculture, a little bit of it just to keep us slightly happy, but they don't take what they're supposed to be taking. So we have a great relationship with Japan. We're going to keep it that way, but they're coming in to meet, and other countries are coming in. With China, as you know, against my statement, they put a 34% tariff on above what their ridiculous tariffs were already. And I said, if that tariff isn't removed by tomorrow at 12 o'clock, we're putting a 50% tariff on above the tariffs that we put on. So they've gone for years. They've become a rich country because of people, again, that were in the White House that allowed this to happen. Hundreds of billions of dollars a year they'd make on us on trade, and it shouldn't be that way. And I have a great relationship with President Xi. I hope it's going to stay that way. I have great respect for China, but they can't do this. We're going to have one shot at this, and no other president's going to do this, what I'm doing. And I'll tell you what, it's an honor to do it because we have been just destroyed, what they've done to our system. You know, we have $36 trillion of debt for a reason. And the reason is that people allowed it to get that way. So we'll be talking to China. We'll be talking to a lot of different countries. And I think, you know, if we can make a really fair deal and a good deal for the United States, not a good deal for others. This is America first. It's now America first. And we didn't put America first. We put America last. The people that were in the Oval Office put America last, and we're not going to stand for it. Yeah.
Talks with Iran.
2 questions. Do you expect any of these deals to be made before April 9th? And secondly, there have been some mixed messages from your administration. You're talking about negotiations, and yet others in your administration are saying that these tariffs are actually permanent. What is the action?
Well, it can both be true. There can be permanent tariffs, and there can also be negotiations because there are things that we need beyond tariffs. We need open borders. You know, we almost had a deal with China where we're going to open up China. It was almost done. Some of you remember it during my first term, and it was very disappointing. We ended up making a great deal. $50 billion worth of product was sold. $50 billion. You'd like that in Israel. And I made that deal, but it wasn't the deal that I wanted. It was the deal that I wanted was that, plus they were going to open up China so that our companies could go into China and compete with other countries and China for for a large number of people. And at the very end, that deal was terminated, and we went to a piece of the deal. And so there are a lot of things outside of tariffs, but tariffs are very important. But there are a lot of things like opening up countries that were totally closed. China is essentially a closed country. In fact, it is a closed country. And what they do is they charge tariffs so that if you sell cars or if you sell anything, nobody's going to buy it because the price is out of control. But that's true with a lot of other countries also. So we're going to get fair deals and good deals with every country. And if we don't, we're going to have nothing to do with them. They're not going to be allowed to participate in the United States.
Mr. President,
Many of time. This gentleman is all day long.
Mr. President, thank you for the chance. Many of Palestinian Americans who voted for you are not for Biden because you've promised them to end the war in Gaza.
Very honored by that vote, too.
The war is still going on and there's no hostage deal. Do you have any update on that?
Well, I'd like to see the war stop, and I think the war will stop at some point that won't be in the too distant future. Right now we have a problem with hostages. We're trying to get the hostages out. We got quite a few of them out, but it's a long process. It shouldn't be that long. We have a big problem that we've done. I think I'll ask Pete to maybe talk about it for a second, because a lot of people are asking. The Houthis, we've been very tough and very successful militarily.
So as you can hear, as you were able to hear, he's had over 50 different countries reach out to him, and they're going to negotiate, I think, some good deals. And as these winds start to fall, like as they start to hit, the market is going to go insane. In fact, I want to talk about that for a second, because it looks like there was some false or fake information that was put out by a reporter from CNBC, maybe speculation, maybe it's just speculation, and they assumed that they were going to try to pause these tariffs, and by doing so led to this insane rally. The market swing, did a swing of, I said swang, sorry, I'm thinking about Houston, but it swung like 5,000 points, like was already down, went up 2,500 points on the day, and then came right back down as the White House came out and said, we never said that. And a spokesman said, absolutely not. I don't know where the hell they're getting this information. So, but without further ado, Fox Business got into this into detail, and they're right. We'll talk about the aspects of what was discussed here in just a minute, but without further ado, let me roll it.
The tariff storm is rocking global markets, and investors are looking for any reason to stop the selling. We saw a 2,600-point intraday swing on false reports from CNBC saying that the White House was considering a 90-day pause on tariffs. But this does not sound like a pause.
Will you do a 90-day pause? Would you consider that?
Or Bill, yeah, I think that the president is going to decide what the president's going to decide. There are more than 50 countries in negotiation with the president. We've got the prime minister of Israel coming today. We've had a reach out overnight from Taiwan.
The White House says that reporting not true, and so back in the red we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Big Money Show. I'm Taylor Riggs. Joining me are my co-hosts, Dagan McDowell, Brian Brenberg, Jackie DeAngelis, and with us for the entire hour, Making Money host Charles Payne. You're still coming back. We're grateful.
I know.
Now, despite the selling, something big is brewing. Over 50 countries have reportedly reached out to the White House to start negotiating, including the EU, who say they are ready to come to the table. But the president now threatening to impose an additional 50% tariff on China that is all effective April 9th if it does not withdraw its 34% retaliatory tariff on the U.S. So we will be digesting this all. Charles, I wanted to come to you on some of the intraday wild swings that we're seeing first, because to me, this was a sign that the market is like desperate for any tweet for anything. Does that give you comfort that we're starting to find a bottom, that we're starting to become numb to some of these headlines, or is there still a lot further lower to go?
So far today, two things give me comfort. We didn't hit the low point of the futures before trading, right? Because at one point it was like, people were talking crash, Black Monday. A lot of well-known folks were out there talking that kind of stuff. So it's still out there. That's our support point. I think on the S&P, it's like 48.50, The other thing, of course, is the coiled spring action. And again, and we saw a microcosm of it on Friday when Trump put out the positive post about Vietnam. All those shoemakers, all these companies that do business and manufacturing in Taiwan. I'll give you an example. Restoration Hardware was at 123.
Yes.
It went to 153 right after that. I mean, a 30-point move, 35% move. So this is a coiled spring sort of environment. There's no doubt about it. The markets want some positive news. I think they want a string of positive news, and obviously some of these deals would be phenomenal. But I'll also say, what was kind of missed is right around the same time, though, we also got word from the EU.
Yeah.
And that was a little bit overshadowed, but that's really obviously significantly more important because I don't think there's going to be a 90-day ban. I mean, pause. That would be the Trump put, and he's already gone out on. He's already that ship has sailed. I think.
Jackie, when we talk about ships that are sailing and headlines, one of the more interesting headlines was the EU, but also the additional 50% tariff on China, which now brings that total tariff to, I think, 104%. But this is at least a market that's not totally reacting to that, maybe taking a breath. And is this maybe now a game of chicken? How do you sort of view these additional proposed tariffs?
I expected the market to go much lower on that. That was sort of the latest headline that would be market moving that we've had in this volatile session this morning. But I think most people see China as the biggest threat to a certain regard. So when China came back on Friday and retaliated, when the Trump administration had said, listen, don't retaliate because if you do, there'll be more pain coming ahead. The market understands that he's not going to take the China situation lying down at all. Negotiations, I think, are certainly on the table. You've got more than 50 countries saying we want to talk. But you also have a situation where this administration has said it's not just about an eye for an eye tariffs. It's about these non-tariff barriers to trade. And that's what they would potentially be talking about, I think. They would be talking about some of the currency manipulation, the dumping, the subsidizing, all the other things that happen, which would come into play in a conversation with the EU as well. So I think we have to wait and see how this all unfolds. But I also think you've got a lot of messengers out there. I don't think it was a good thing at all to have that interpretation of what Kevin Hassett said. It was a misinterpretation. It was wrong. It rocked the stock market today. But at the same time, you've got a bunch of different messengers out there, and they're all being interpreted slightly differently. Then you have Trump coming on Air Force One last night and making his own comments. And so there's a lot of talk out there versus concrete stuff that this market can cling to. Just a last thought. Many of the traders I've been speaking to have been saying they are afraid to go short the market. They, if they thought something was on sale on Friday, they really think it's on sale today. And they're looking to add to their portfolios because they said when this market does rip, it's going to be one of those face-ripping rallies that just, you're not going to be able to ride it if you are going the other way.
So as you saw there on that Fox Business clip, basically this is very simple math. You could try to short the market if you want, but if tomorrow, China pulls back its extended or extra tariffs that they dropped on the United States and actually open up their market a little bit, even if it's half-assed, the market will explode here. And I mean, rally like you've never seen. As you heard what that analyst said, as these winds start to drop and these countries negotiate different deals with tariffs, the market is going to friggin' go nuclear. I mean, it's going to go boom. And what did they say? It will tear your face off? Pretty much. That's what I expect is going to happen. And I have a separate video, maybe I'll drop it later this evening or tomorrow, where, how auto workers are feeling about this. Yes, there's a little pinch right now with 900 being laid off at stamping because they make a lot of the stuff for the Charger and the minivan. Obviously, with that plant being closed, they don't need to work. It is a temporary layoff. It's not going to be something that lasts for months and months and months. But as the auto worker for Trump representative said, in the long term, it means more jobs in the auto sector here in the United States. Period. End of story. And that's a positive thing. Instead of, I don't know if you know this or not, but since the 70s, the automotive sector has lost jobs every single year. I mean, on average, if you're just looking to go from however many millions of jobs they had to under a couple 100,000 is insane. the amount of lost jobs. Now, part of that is due to automation. Part of that is due to a lot of different things, but a lot of it has to do with NAFTA. A lot of it has to do with unfair trade practices, and that's what's trying to be addressed here with these tariffs to renegotiate better deals for the United States, and I'm all for it. But I'd love to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you agree with the analysts over here at Fox Business that talked about this? I do. I feel like if you short the market right now, you might put yourself in a situation where you bankrupt yourself. Like, it could only take, and it showed today, right? Even on false information that came out, this is how I know that this is a mirage. The downturn of the market is a mirage. Because the second some false information gets reported that seems to be positive, what did the market do? It went insane. It 2,500 points in a matter of 15 minutes. So that's why I said, as these deals start getting announced and pushed, and especially, and that's even if nothing happens with China. If the EU, Australia, all of our allies stuff gets knocked down first with deals, and that includes like not even allies like Vietnam and Taiwan, etc., you're going to see the market go in a hurry. And anything happens with China in a positive light for the United States, you're going to see the market hit all-time highs. Book it. Anyways, not financial advice, by the way. I'm not a stockbroker. I can't give you investing advice. I can just tell you what I've been doing, and I will be consistently picking up some shares of companies that I like because they're a deal right now. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Give the video a big thumbs up if you like what I do. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And as always, stay petty, my friends.